I'm Michelle Doucette, and I am doing a class for technology and PBL. PBL is project-based learning, which is usually done with a multitude of teachers, more than one. I'm doing this on my own, but you have to include different SPIs for different core subjects. And what it does is it's a big base project to do. So mine was based on doing a PSA or a commercial for Literacy Night. It'd be a 7th grade unit and it'd last about 3 weeks. That's one basic thing that you have to do. It has to be a long period of time for them to do it, because there's multiple things they'll do. The students are going to be a diverse bunch, because I'm going to take them from my classroom. There's going to be a combination of urban and suburban kids, all type of learners, regular ed, special ed, and ELL, because that's what we get in our classrooms. Special ed and ELL both struggle with communication, so I'm pairing them with regular ed students in their groups in order to help them communicate better and be part of the group. SPED also and ELL also struggle with written work, so pairing them with the regular ed students will help them to get to that higher level of learning. The unit goals and objectives, we start out and we have language arts, and in language arts there's listening, speaking, written, logic, and media. I can fit SPIs out of all those different areas into this situation, because listening, they're going to be listening to us talking. Speaking, they're going to be speaking on camera. They have to listen to each other. Written work will be done, and I have several packets that I'm going to give them. Logic is thinking and logically planning out their program. And then of course media, which kind of surprised me. I didn't realize that language arts had a media section in theirs. So there's a media section. Also, we're going to include science, which is inquiry, interpreting, translating, and probability. We're going to include math, which is collecting, organizing, selecting, and summarizing. These are all things that SPIs include in math. Under data collection, under electronic media, we're going to evaluate, apply, illustrate, analyze, and demonstrate. And then under the ISTE rules, which is a governing body of electronic media that is out there, we're going to apply, create, interact, contribute, plan, and evaluate. So these are the unit goals and the objectives for each of the SPIs that we're going to use. For the problem statement now, I have been told by my teacher that I really needed to reword this, but this is what I came up with. The problem was that the school holds Literacy Night every year, and we really don't do anything to promote literacy except through reading and language arts. So I thought the kids could put a PSA or a small commercial together to play for the parents and to engage in an appropriate way to interest and encourage the peers in literacy. Our data sources would be on site, would be a principal, teachers, tech coordinator. All of us could be included in that. I didn't include music, but we could include music into it. We could include art into it. So there's a lot of different areas that I didn't even think about when I was doing it that we could actually include, that I didn't think about until afterwards. Technology, they're going to use a computer, a flip camera, printers, Microsoft Publisher, Microsoft Movie Maker, and flip camera editing. Prints could be pamphlets on literacy that they would be able to look at and get ideas from. Of course, I've got handouts and they have written notes. Our online resources would be the internet, YouTube, flip camera, editing software, and movie maker software. YouTube, I would be picking the PSAs or the commercials that are already done to show them what is already out there and to give them ideas about doing a literacy program. Presentation of findings, we'll be presenting it at, we're going to do a viewing here for the kids, and they're going to pick out a couple of commercials they'd like to run during Literacy Night, and then we're going to show them to the parents and their peers. Our initiating activity will be Mr. Best, and he'll be introducing the primary activity to the students. He'll be coming in talking about them, to them about Literacy Night and what it means and about what we can do for the parents and the teachers and the peers. Then I will be coming into play, and I'll be giving them the introduction to the project, where they will have viewing of the PSA and commercials on a Literacy Night. So I'll be introducing those situations to them, the YouTube videos and that sort of thing. Procedures and activities will be me defining the problem and watching the videos. They're going to do a T-chart. They will complete a T-chart at the very beginning on what they know about commercials and PSAs and what they need to know. They'll then do a survey, and they're going to survey, they're going to develop these surveys, and they're going to give them to teachers, peers, and parents. So we'll be sending them home with them or doing a mass email type situation. We can do surveys on SurveyMonkey, where you've seen those before, where they come in and you just email them the survey and they can take it online. We'll be gathering that data, and what the surveys include when they gather the data is what people would like to see in a literacy video. What type of situation best promotes itself to a video that they could do. So we'll gather that data using math, using science, using collecting, data interpretation. All this is included in their science and math situations. So we're bringing in those extra SPIs. So they'll take that, put it in, and come up with ways that what they would like to see in a video. Then I'm going to hand them what we call an if-when chart or statements. It's if this happened, when does it happen? So they're taking, and it's hard to see, but they're taking a situation and then they are learning to sequence it. If this happens, this happens, this happens, that sort of thing. So then they can go and they'll do 2 of those in the situation in order to get the sequencing down so they can sequence their commercials. Then they'll be doing their storyboards. Now they'll do an individual storyboard to begin with. Then they'll be in a group situation where they will pick a storyboard and do a group storyboard together. Then they will work on their scripts. And the scripts will be what their PSA and how they want to put it together and what people want to say. Last thing they'll be working on is editing the film and putting it together. So finalizing the project will be editing the film and editing the project to come up with each group coming up with their own PSA or commercial. And then what we'll do is we'll have a viewing and a critiquing of the videos, and we'll pick maybe 1 or 2 videos to show on Literacy Night that we can run over and over and over again on a loop. My instructional strategies include direct instruction by the administrator and the teacher, and we'll introduce the project to a whole class. Cooperative learning, which groups will be formed on the surveys, the graphs, the charts, scripts, and the storyboards. So they'll be grouped together for those. They'll be doing some individual work, but most of it will be in group situation. Problem solving and inquiry. Students work on questions for surveys and concepts for the PSAs. They'll be solving the problem of what to come up with and how to engage their fellow students in literacy. Student technology, of course, watching the videos for research, working with the computer programs to put print into their ideas, making files in Microsoft Office to hold their information, and they'll use the cameras to film the project. Independent work. Students work individually on the storyboards before deciding on a group concept. And the last is focus on diversity, which of course the groups are going to be divided again, like I said before, into a very diverse group, which will include special ed, ELL, and regular ed students. My resources are going to be the teacher, the T-charts, surveys, the if-when statements, the storyboards, the scripts that they'll have. They'll have an actual pamphlet, not a pamphlet, excuse me. They'll have a package that will show them how to make videos, step by step. So each group will be given one of those. They'll have the flip cameras, they'll have computers, and we'll also be able to use YouTube. Then there's the project rubric. This goes by and they will score themselves, and then I will score them on a basis also as to how they did. So each group will score their group scores on how they did. So if they make no errors in grammar or spelling, script is neatly typed and correctly formatted, and through that whole situation here, then they will get an A. And it goes 1 to 2 errors, 3 to 4 errors, that sort of thing. So this is the project rubric that they'll have to follow. They'll be giving the rubric at the beginning so they know what they can do and what they cannot do, what they need to have in their PSAs and what they need to have in their information. And that's the end of my presentation, and just remember that literacy is a right. Now, do I have any questions about the situation? Okay, and that's it. Thank you very much for coming.